Alright, working on this 2010 Silverado. It's a truck we've been doing quite a bit of work on. Today we put on the Vanguard off-road, I'd call it a headache rack. So just a few things with this. Make sure you have a helper. This thing's probably 75, 80 pounds. So it's real awkward and kind of heavy to do by yourself. Couple pictures here. I ended up putting these side rails on too, and I chose to mount the rack on top of the rails, that way it doesn't scratch up the bed sides. But they actually come with riv nuts for the bolts, and I'll actually show you that to the bed. But I actually had to use different riv nuts in 6 of the locations. Basically because how the bed is put together. I'll show you guys this. So up front here we were able to use their rib nut. Here and here I had to use 1/4-20 rib nuts because where the bed comes together, it rolls, you have 2 layers, and those larger rib nuts would never fit there. The only way to get that to work would be to move this in quite a bit, and then it just doesn't look right. So just be prepared for that. It's something I kind of noticed with a lot of these. It seems like you've got to be able to adapt and have some other hardware available. It seems like the hardware is always an issue with a lot of the aftermarket stuff. So just be prepared for that. But all in all, it's coming out nice. I've got to wire it, put the LED bar or LEDs in the top of this bar here. Do a few more things with it, but it's coming along nice. I've probably got about 3.5, almost 4 hours into it right now. But that's just with laying it out nice and putting these rails on, making sure the fitment was correct, the bolts are nice and sturdy and in good location. So something again that I wouldn't plan on rushing. Take your time with it and just be prepared. Have a helper with you. Make sure you have a good hardware selection and measure everything out. I marked everything out ahead of time, made sure I had the fitment well before I drilled anything. But I'm happy with it. I think it looks good. It's super sturdy. You can literally hang off this thing. But it's I've rocked it around, the whole truck shakes. It's a pretty nice piece, just hardware. Seems like hardware is always an issue with this stuff. But other than that, next is on to the wiring. I'm going to wire these side lights, marker lights, to the running light circuit. And then I'm not 100% sure which way I'm going to wire these ones yet. I'm just kind of starting to think about that now. So I'll update you guys a little bit later with what we do with this wiring. And we have a few other lights to put on this truck, but it's coming along nicely, and I'll do another wrap-up video once we get this thing out of the shop.